American factories. You deserve a great night's sleep.
We just signed the lease on our third shop. My assistant went to customink.com to get new uniforms with all the locations. He found great products, uploaded new art, and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at uploaded new art and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at uploaded new art and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at uploaded new art and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at uploaded new art and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at uploaded new art and had boxes sent to all the shops.
NFL Legends watching football together. NFL Legends watching football together.
Yeah, it is. Good morning, football. We are live here in Los Angeles. I'm Jamie Erdahl. This is Akbar Bajavia. That's Tom Pelissero and Kyle Brandt rounding out the table, but in New York City. Everybody, it is College Colors Day, and nothing is more professional than on College Colors Day than Tom Pelissero not showing up.
I had a great 4 years at Carnegie University. I wanted to come out here and represent. Turned out hard to find Boston College gear at the malls. In Los Angeles, game my best effort here. You guys represent.
I'm sad about that, man. We'll try to represent next time.
I appreciate that.
We better be prepared when Matt Ryan shows up at the NFL Network. We got to have stuff ready to go, right?
I think he gets things more easily than I do. Just a wild guess. Slightly more contribution.
Tom, shout out some BC alums. Who do you want to tip the cap to in lieu of wearing a shirt?
Oh, shoot. Let's talk about some of the guys who are still in the NFL right now. Brian Flores is a Boston College guy who was in my class. DeJuan Daniels, who's a scout now for the Raiders as well. There's tons of Boston College players as well.
Favorite old-timer?
Favorite old-timer?
You got one?
Well, I mean, Doug Flutie's the legend of Boston College, but we once had an incident in a pickup basketball game on campus. So, there's a little bit of a strained relationship between the two of us.
I'm sorry. You and Doug Flutie had an incident during a pickup basketball game?
All right, so this is my sophomore year of college, and we would every Friday morning, you'd go out to the Recplex and, play some pickup hoops. Well, usually Thursday nights is a big getting out, around town type of a night. And so we show up, in our usual state, kind of dragging ourselves into the gym. We're running game, okay? Me and four of my buddies. We win a couple of games, and all of a sudden Flutie comes over. He's like, hey, we got next. So he comes out with 4 members of the Boston College women's basketball team playing against me and 4 of my hungover friends. So it's competitive, okay? We're up 9-8. You're playing to 11. People are waiting to run game here. Flutie's throwing himself alley-oops off the backboard and all this kind of stuff. This is right after he'd signed a new contract with the Chargers. So shot goes up. I'm over there I had switched on to Flutie because I was worried my buddy Feeney was going to injure him because he was trying to guard him in the game, and he's, a little bit uncoordinated. So I switch on to him. Shot goes up, hits the back of the iron. Jamie, you know this. Ball hits the back of the iron, goes straight up, right?
Yeah.
So I had jumped for it. I come down on Flutie's shoulder. Ooh. Can feel him kind of give me a little side eye, like, all right, the ball bounces back out. Another shot goes up. Flutie elbows me as hard as he can in the ribs. I go off dry heaving onto the baseline, like, and nothing, kept it clean. But I had to come out of the game. Another guy went in. We lost 11-9.
There's no fisticuff, huh?
Wow.
No.
That's a true story.
That is a 100%
Tom always
true story.
picking on the big guys.
Yeah, and Doug Flutie loves to play basketball.
Also, buried in that,
talented. He was a talented athlete.
Buried in that is that Flutie said, I got next with 4 of the women's basketball team members. Like, what a flex by Flutie. Like, he knew who he was going to show up with.
Right.
It's great.
We had no business on that court, but, it's a good story.
You landed on his shoulder?
I mean, in hindsight, now, 43-year-old me feels kind of bad about it. At the time, 20-year-old me was like, all right, that's all in the game. Like, come on, are we playing or are we not?
Wow. I didn't know this was going to come up now, but I once had a terrible beef on the squash court with Jason Garrett when I was at Princeton. We still remember it. It ended like Aaron Burr, another Princeton alumnus. It was almost dangerous. No, Jason Garrett, I love you. And Tom, that's a crazy story. Incredible. Way to start Alumni Week.
Seriously.
Couldn't find his shirt, but I brought you a story.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
My goodness, man. Ian Rappaport, joining us now, our insider. At this point, is Doug Flutie questionable to ever join NFL Network on any show because of what Tom did to him 20-plus years ago?
I also have a Flutie story. It's not as good as Tom's, but when I was in Boston covering the Patriots for the Boston Herald, I played in an over 30 wood bat league. I was the catcher. And Flutie and all of his brothers were like the best players in the league. So every year we would have like a big all-star game at the end.
But it's like he's trying to run a one-man band out there. Behind his seat. And leave a comment below. This is a make or break season for him. He's got to make an impact. Good morning, good morning, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the Brandon Mason Show. Look, we're all good. I believe it's August 30th, right? It's Friday. I got to tell you, Fridays feel good, man. You show up. A lot of people look at your boss. You're like, man, it's Friday. I mean, don't look at me like that. It's Friday. I got a lot going on at my household. Got a lot going on all week. But I got to tell you, football is back, and it's come back with a vengeance. Last night, I saw some college football was rocking and rolling. I saw Colorado out there with North Dakota State, and I was like, okay, Deion Sanders better get that team ready to go because – whoa, that was a little closer than you wanted to be, obviously, with, showing up AA to, single A to getting out against Colorado. And Deion Sanders is like, look, we're hosting this team that's moving up in the ranks, but we're Colorado. We're building strong. We got over 42 transfers. Got, Shedeur Sanders out there. You got Shiloh Sanders out there. You got, Travis Hunter out there. People are like, college football is back. NFL is back. I got my coffee right here. There was a shit ton of games yesterday. I don't know how many. I thought there was like 2 or 3 at one point. I'm like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. College football is back strong. The NFL is just around the corner. We're rocking and rolling. We're talking today about Brandon Aiyuk. What happened there? They signed him. They bring him in. Was it a good situation? We're going all the way into Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and even down the road into Dak Prescott. He feels betrayed. Is that true? Are they going to make a deal happen? Will something show up for the Cowboys? Will they make it happen? This is one of the top stories for a lot of reasons because they got to put up or shut up this year. But right now, let's dive into it. The 49ers signed Brandon Aiyuk. And let me tell you something. As the season gets rolling here, we're going to have the live video for you guys to see. But right now, I want to talk about it for a second because this is important. They bring him in. They make it happen. 4 years, $120 million. Why is this important? Why is it a big deal? Are the 49ers set to have another massive season? They got a lot of chips out there in the right locations. And I got to tell you, a lot of people are like, Brandon Aiyuk, 4 year, $120 million. He's locked up for the foreseeable future, right? Which is a great thing. They got some great talent. I'm going to go over who they got with Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, George Kittle. Great defense also with Bosa. I mean, they just have a lot of talent out there. And when it comes down to be completely honest with you, did they need to give him this kind of money? How great is he? And the truth is, he's an excellent receiver, a top receiver, but realistically, maybe not even number 1, number 2, and number 3 player on his team. And that just goes to show you how talented the 49ers are this year. Like, they are pretty damn strong. And last year, they were good. They were obviously in the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The year before that, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, brings them pretty damn far. And now they're in the driver's seat again. And people are like, they got Super Bowl hopes again. We're going to dive into that conversation. But let's go into this for a second. Brandon Aiyuk's got numbers like Jerry Rice. People have been talking about that. Obviously, if you don't know football that well, Jerry Rice, the top receiver for the 49ers for a long time, a guy that people love. He's shattered all kinds of records. Brandon Aiyuk is chasing some of those records to give an example of how talented he actually is. But here's the problem I got with Brandon Aiyuk. When I look at the situation and the money he got, great for him. But here's the problem. He demanded a trade. He asked to be traded from the 49ers. What does that do to your locker room? You got to understand something. Players this day and age in the National Football League, they're wearing the driver's seat, they're wearing the hat, they're wearing the pants a lot of times on those teams. Like, he demanded a trade, allegedly, right? Then it was like, no, he actually wanted to be traded. And for the last several months, it was like, Brandon Aiyuk, will he go to the Broncos? Will he go to the Steelers? Will he go? It was like they are moving him around in so many pieces of the pie trying to figure out, where can we move him off of our roster? Where does he want to go? Where does he want to play? And the rest of the roster is sitting there going, oh, this is the guy on our football team. This is our receiver here we're talking about, a guy that we need to win football games. And I don't know how you feel. I know for one thing, the big-time players as veterans, like, you got to get your money. You got to get your bag. You got to get your cash. I get it. You got to get it how you get it. However, but at the end of the day, there is a camaraderie to your team to win football games. And I think Brandon Aiyuk, the holdout, right? I'm not showing up, kind of like a CeeDee Lamb, like holding out until I get paid. What does that do to your football team? Obviously, getting back to the Super Bowl, can they do that? We got a question on that in a second. I like what he brings to the game. I think he's an excellent player. I think that I look at the National Football League, around all the receivers out there, he's one of the top guys. He's a guy that you want to bring back. The 49ers like him, obviously, 4-year, $120 million. But he was holding out for that, right? Like, I'm not showing up, and that is what you're getting right now, and that's what you get for a long time now. Like, players that are not getting paid right now are holding out, and it's been going on for a trend right now. And you got, obviously, Tyreek Hill got his money. You look around the National Football League, A.J. Brown, big-time money, and all these receivers that are getting paid, he was like, I'm the next receiver in line. CeeDee Lamb got his money, and every time those receivers get paid, it just makes it so that other receivers are like, it's my turn next, and I'm going to hold out. I'm not going to do anything until I get paid that money. So, obviously, Brandon Aiyuk getting out there and now getting this money. What does it do for the 49ers? Was it worth paying them that kind of money? Obviously, they need to fill that spot. Someone's got to be there. But over the course of time now, this also opens up big-time conversations for Brock Purdy, who's going to want big-time money. And obviously, a nice guy. He's one of those even-keel players, a lot like how Tua doesn't yell, not a crazy person. And I just feel like now the 49ers are forking out a shit ton of money in a lot of directions, almost like how the Dolphins are doing as well, right? So the question is right now, has Brock Purdy lived up to the hype, right? And in the chat right now, what I want to put in there is a poll. Welcome you guys to the live stream. Good morning to all you guys. I see Candy coming in, Jeff Lee, MJ's in the building, D. Coleman, Tracy, everyone that Roger, everyone that's coming in here. Devon, let me put a question here real quick. Annie, welcome back. We fixed your messages in here. Let me see. Will 49ers get back to the playoffs again? That's a question I want to see what you guys think in the chat right now. I'm going to put yes and put no in the polls right there. I just want to know what you guys think. Hope I typed that right. Couldn't see the damn thing that well. Will the 49ers get back to the Super Bowl again, right? And I put playoffs. I put playoffs in the damn thing, which is actually not what I want to have in there. Let me fix that for a second. Will the 49ers get back to the Super Bowl? That's a damn question. I want to know what you guys think. Will the 49ers get back to the Super Bowl again? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because they're building their roster. Brock Purdy, if Brock Purdy gets another damn Super Bowl, if he gets back to the Super Bowl again, he's going to get paid so much money. And at the end of the day, you're looking at these quarterbacks getting paid, Baker Mayfields of the world, Tua's of the world, obviously Dak Prescott waiting for his big-time payday. Has Brock Purdy lived up to the hype? Yes or no? And when I look at what Brock Purdy's done and why this is so important, when I look at what Brock Purdy's done, coming up Mr. Irrelevant, and now he's got his receiver, right? First, he had some players out there, and then he had Christian McCaffrey, and he's got George Kittle, and then he has a strong defense. You're like, look, this guy's set up in a lot of ways, he's set up to win football games. He's set up to get out there on a big stage to do well for the 49ers. And then when I look at who else is there, when I look at literally who's on their roster, I'm going to pull that up right now. I want to show this because I think this is kind of important. When you got Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Brandon Aiyuk, and you look around the roster again, you kind of look at these teams now that are like paying to play right now. Like, we got to be honest, right? Like, what team is going to give them competition in the NFC? Is it the Cowboys? Is it the Eagles? Who's the toughest test to play against the 49ers? If you're watching this live right now, in the chat, and if you watch it later, who is the toughest test right now for the 49ers? And why I got this conversation up there, because they paid Brandon Aiyuk. Brock Purdy right now, is he living up to the hype of a quarterback? I'm not talking about Mr. Relevant hype. I'm talking about after he got in there, like, listen, he's balling, right? Trey Lance gone, Jimmy G. This conversation comes up a lot because these are people that are in the Super Bowl, players that are doing it. Coach Shanahan doing what they got to do to get to the Super Bowl. The question is, right now for you guys, and then Christian McCaffrey, is he a top 3 running back? Is he a top 3 running back of all time? Not right now. I'm talking all time. People are talking about this right now. We're going back years and years and years of time with running backs. We're talking the Barry Sanders, the Emmitt Smiths, the Tony Dorsetts. I mean, all these people, Walter Paytons of the world, all these running backs. And there's so many, even in the last 10 years, that were so gifted. And when they stop, you're like, oh, yeah, you kind of forget a little bit, right? You forget about some of these players. Is Christian McCaffrey top 3 all time? Will he retire as a top 3? Or is Christian McCaffrey a top 5 player of all time. The reason why I'm asking you that is because when I'm watching this guy, he's so damn explosive, right? And I don't know how to put it. He's built the right way. He's built to be a running back. He's built to run, down in the middle of the field. He's built to stretch. He's built to get out there and catch swing passes. He is a receiver on the field as well. You're talking about a player, and you wonder why. You're like, oh, why are the 49ers so good? Well, listen, they're putting players in the right positions that are dynamic. When you look at Christian McCaffrey, he's not just a player that's going to run the football. He's great in the pass game. He's great in the screen games. You can run draws. You can run play actions. Everything you do with Christian McCaffrey is going to be phenomenal for the 49ers this year. And then you look at the tight end position. You're like, George Kittle, another player, great at blocking. And you're looking at this, you're going, wow, an excellent blocker. And when I say excellent, I'm saying for what you need in the National Football League, right? Like to be two-dimensional. Great there. And then you're like, man, what a great receiver out there. Like two-dimensional. Brock Purdy, is he good with his legs? Can he throw the football? Two-dimensional. These are the ways that you get to the Super Bowl. That's why who's there with them? The Kansas City Chiefs. The same exact shit going on. You're like, oh, the Chiefs. Well, who do they got? Patrick Mahomes, right? Then they got in the backfield. Pacheco, another good running back. Then they got Travis Kelce at tight end. And then they got, when you look around the national, and I've been saying this for months and months and months now, when you're making your bets this year, when you're making your bets and you're placing your bets and you're looking at, who is going to win games or who's going to get to the playoffs or if you're betting on player props, all that. The teams with the tight ends that are athletic, I've been saying this, I'm telling you right now, they get far in the National Football League. If you don't have a tight end that can get out there, can catch passes, like Tom Brady had with Gronkowski, you can go on and on with all these people, even Shannon Sharp, right? These players, they played well, because they had the running back there to create play action. You go back, you don't got somebody, bang, you hit your tight end who's covered by a linebacker who is boxing that guy out like he's playing basketball. And that is exactly what you're seeing right now with the 49ers. Are they a Super Bowl team this year? Yes or no in the chat. Put hashtag 49ers and put yes, or put hashtag 49ers and put no. I want to see what you guys think because there's a lot of bets that are getting ready to take place. There's a lot of bets that are getting ready to be out there. And I'm going to bring it to here on the live stream. I'm going to put my bets up when I make those bets, obviously, for big time money, whether it's $100, $1,000, $10,000. We want to make sure that you guys can see what's going on and what I'm picking on my bets. Obviously, fantasy football, a little tougher to get started this year because we want to get everybody in the Mesa Mob involved, and we're building that right now on the live stream, getting more people to join our show on our platform. That's something that we will add to the platform soon. But at the end of the day, the 49ers sign Brandon Aiyuk, right? This is the guy that they had to figure out. It was a distraction, obviously. We're going to get to the Cowboys in a second with Dak Prescott. Is he betrayed? Is there a battle out there going on that we need to go over right now? I think it's important. But Brandon Aiyuk gets his money. He's out there. That kind of solidifies a lot with the 49ers. LaFrance, good morning to you. I just saw you pop in the building. Anybody that's in the live stream, out there, the dice in the chat if you're in the Mesa Mob so I can say your name on the live stream. Greatly appreciate you. But yeah, the 49ers, they kind of tied up those missing bows, if you want to say, or tied those laces right there on what they need. And now it's Brock Purdy is next in line, right? Like Brock Purdy is the guy. They got to figure out Christian McCaffrey, make sure they got him for a long time, keep him around, somebody that you can use. And obviously, you need the running back, obviously, to help out and carry the load. But Christian McCaffrey is going to be your guy. And then living up to the hype, Brock Purdy is doing that. He's living up to the hype as the guy, especially if you draft a Mr. Irrelevant, and that guy shows up and he balls out, you know how big time it is for the National Football League and how big time it is for your team, your ball club? Because now you got a quarterback now, but you have the receivers. You have a quarterback, though, with Brock Purdy, who's running your offense. That's the guy who's going to get big time money on every team around the National Football League. Doesn't matter where you're at right now. If you're the starting quarterback, you are pleading for big time money. I mean, look at Daniel Jones. Over $100 million. Deshaun Watson, over $200 million. Tua, over $200 million. Baker Mayfield making big time money. All these quarterbacks are getting big time money. And you go back and look at the time, you go, Tom Brady wasn't getting nothing like that. You're like, okay, that's crazy. Like Tom Brady wasn't even getting that kind of money. And you're like, well, he played before. No, Tom Brady just retired, like literally last year, right? You got all the Jim Kellys of the world. Damn it, they made nothing like this. This kind of money is astronomical. And a lot of times it's well-deserved. Like they're building a great system, building a great platform. And when you're Mr. Irrelevant and you show up in the National Football League and you're playing for the 49ers or any franchise and you're showing up and you got paid peanuts. I'm talking $900,000 a year, having a roommate out in California with the taxes being so damn crazy, which we know we talk about with the political thing. We know what's going on in California. And I love to say I love California. It's a beautiful state. but the shit that's going on out there, right? We cannot forget what we're seeing. And Brock Purdy out there making that kind of money is like, all right, well, they're taking a shit ton of it, right? Like California is taking a lot of money, okay, from Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy doesn't even have that much money coming in. So if he's making $900,000 and they take the percent they're taking, Brock Purdy is living like an average businessman that's making good money in his company. You know, I'm not saying everybody's making, $500,000-600,000, but I'm just giving an example. Once you build your company up, you start rocking and rolling and making some good buck right there. Brock Purdy and you are living the same. He's in the Super Bowl. Like, I'm just saying, that is what's going on out there. So when that happens, you got to be ecstatic. You got to be excited about your football team. And I know, obviously, the 49ers are excited that they got Brock Purdy, who stepped up and is living up to the hype. It reminds me of that movie, Rudy. Like, Rudy. Like, have you seen that movie? Have you guys seen that movie? I mentioned it on our live stream before. Have you guys watching this live? Have you seen the movie Rudy? Yes or no? Put it in there if you've seen it, because it's like this guy shows up and they want to put him in the game, and I don't know how good he actually is going to be or whatever, and then they want to give him a chance, and he's just not big enough. He just can't do it. And then he gets out there and he's just like, at first he's like struggling, and then like Rudy, and they're transformed, right? And this guy becomes this, like, he makes a sack or whatever he does, and people are like, let's go, Rudy. That is what, I don't know why it's funny because I compare him to Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy has been successful since he's been there. But it's like, because he was